Recut 20 lawns because every blade grass needs to be the same exact height. Okay. The characters. The crew. My foreman. My direct boss. John, my coworker. L. Our manager. My foreman's boss. Incompetent dick. Some context. So this happened a summer ago. I'm a college student, and in the summer, when I'm home, I typically work in landscaping and landscape design as a laborer. Think laying sod and bricks, building fences and decks, or cutting grass. I also live in Mississippi, so it's hot as balls and humid as hell in the summer. This particular summer I was working on the landscaping side, so I was cutting grass, pulling weeds, upkeep sort of stuff. When it came time to cut grass, I was on weed eater duty. My job was to do trim work, basically cut grass the mower can't reach. The day. So this Thursday was a particularly hot one. Just after good a rain, and so it was excessively hot and humid. To add on to this, the job for that day was a contract place that was 20 or so houses arranged in a circle around 2 ponds and a walking path, making the humidity even higher because of the ponds and lack of airflow. Tall trees around and in the place. The lots themselves weren't particularly big, but the place took 9-11 hours to do well, and most the houses also had the super cranky old people in them that would complain over the most minor things. I am talking one weed in a flower box under a bush. So we arrive at like 6:15 and get to cutting and all that good stuff. I grab my weed eater, throw my earbuds in, and do my thing. While I weed eat, I am continually walking and occasionally will bump the weed eater with my leg, raising it up a little bit and making the grass slightly uneven every so often, maybe half an inch at the most. This usually isn't noticeable, but if it happens up against a house or structure, you can tell if you look for it. So I will typically go back and try to level it out the best I can if I notice it happen. I do the whole place, front yards and backyards. We then weed the whole place, front and back. We are getting ready to pack up and head home. It's like 4 o'clock by now, when incompetent Dick comes to the job site and starts looking around. He finishes up and pulls John aside and shows him around the place, then leaves. This process took an hour or so. So myself, John, and Elle have just burnt an hour on overtime doing nothing. By this point in the week, it was typical for us to be running on overtime. John comes over to Elle and I, telling us that we missed a ton of stuff and to grab the weed eaters in a bucket. We then walk around the place and John starts pointing out groups of like 4 blades of grass that are fractions of an inch higher than the others. Barely noticeable shit, like you really gotta look for this stuff hard. Furthermore, if you try to cut some of these with a weed eater, they bend from the downwash of the spinning strings. So you risk gouging a nice 5 to 12 inch circle in the grass trying to cut like 4 blades of grass. We begin to redo the whole place front and back, pulling small ass weeds here and there from under bushes and doing our best to cut the offending blades of grass. By the second house, Elle and I are bitching to John we are hot and tired. It's like 5:30 and we know this will take us 2 more hours. John tells us he knows this is stupid and it's not his fault. He understands the stupidity and our pissedness. Cue malicious compliance. Elle and I decide we are going to make sure all offending blades of grass are cut to the same height. That new height dirt. The thing is, if you cut grass too low it can die. We knew this, but incompetent Dick and the cranky old people wanted it the same height exactly, and that's what they were going to get. We rewalk the place and cut any grass that is against something and over the height of dirt. We also made sure to hold our weed eaters in a way that when we cut the offending grass, we hit the surrounding grass with the full 12 inches diameter of the weed eater, leaving a nice 12 inches circle spot that you couldn't see now but would when the grass died in a few days. We leveled all the grass against any structure, leaving a nice gouge where walls, fences, and flower beds met the lawn. We finished around 7:30 and headed home. And didn't hear a peep the next day. The next week the lawns had 12 inches brown circles of grass everywhere. By Tuesday incompetent Dick talked to John about it. John just told him the offending blades had been cut as he asked, and something along the lines of, it was all now uniform in height. We couldn't help that some of the grass didn't survive the new stringent height regulations. Incompetent Dick never talked to John or myself about it again. A few notes and fallout. This wasn't the first time and wouldn't be the last time incompetent Dick came to nitpick our work at the end of a day, which would sometimes result in us having to drive across the city or walk a mile or two up a road at the end of a day to fix bullshit little things that weren't messed up, adding hours to already long hot days. Though it was the last time we ever had problems at that place. We also got the satisfaction of knowing that incompetent Dick had to take the numerous calls from cranky old people about their lawns for a few weeks. These people would cuss us out even before this incident, so I don't want to imagine what they told him. The lawns still had pretty noticeable dead spots and scars when I left towards the end of the summer. Also, incompetent Dick saw himself as better than any of the filthy laborers, and I, and would avoid critiquing us to our faces. This is primarily because the few times he nitpicked us directly, we either told him why it was stupid or handed him our equipment and told him to do it himself, which he would then proceed to fuck up. This was a common sentiment he held towards all of the crews under his supervision, and their reactions when he critiqued them similarly were similar to ours. In the mornings at the shop he would sometimes talk about how we needed to be more respectful to him, BC he was our boss, to which people would reply something about him respecting our quality work, which it was 99% of the time, not nitpicking stupid shit, and not showing up at the end of a day to give us more dumb shit to do, such as chop a tree down and then drive off expecting us to load it up when he had an empty open top trailer and we had a full box truck. What we did made its way to other crews and they carried out similar antics, which lead to him getting a tough time from his bosses who held him responsible for these events. The effects of this general disdain eventually got to him so much so you could see it just by the way he carried himself and the stress on his face. Edit. Fixed for no abbreviations. Edit. Incompetent Dick was so bad at his job that he got paid less or at the same rate as the crew foreman under him, while holding the title of being their boss. I know because he would complain about this too when talking to the foreman. At least they paid you overtime to comply with his BS. Honestly, besides the no abbreviations rule for this sub, whenever a nickname like Incompetent Dick is chosen, I really like to see it spelled out and repeated throughout. Damn kids, get off my lawn! Exclamation mark. After you cut the grass to the same height. I also live in Mississippi, so it's hot as balls and humid as hell in the summer. At least it wasn't humid as balls and hot as hell. That would be miserable. I live in a dry climate that's hot as hell. 115 in the summer. And I wouldn't want to add humidity to it. Some people, Incompetent Dick, can't just enjoy getting paid to sit back and do nothing while the workers do their jobs. I could do that job for sure. Imagine being so stubborn you choose to lead a noticeably stressful life rather than treat your employees with respect. Hot as balls, typically the testes are a degree or so less than body temperature, so as to not have any defective sperm. so ball temperature is typically 36 centigrade. Namibia hit 43.5 last week and it's not even summer. Given it's a dry heat and not humid, it must have looked awful if they made you redo it. TLDR op did a bad job, was asked to do it again, and decided to damage the property. Fuck yeah. Union power.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.